Social awkwardness and social anxiety are two different beasts, though the two conditions have quite a bit of crossover. Referencing a study by researcher Joshua Clegg, Research Digest explained that social awkwardness is, quote, what we feel when the situation threatens our goal of being accepted by others. The condition can manifest in things like a failure to take notice of societal expectations or the inability to navigate a social setting. Social anxiety, according to King University, is a disorder that manifests itself similarly, but has additional layers of stress that occur in social situations. The school highlighted the common issues that someone with social anxiety fears. Some of these include being criticized, public speaking in any capacity, existing at the center of public attention, being introduced to someone new, and more. It can be a game changer to sit in your feelings of discomfort and acknowledge your thoughts rather than kick them to the back of your brain. Clinical psychologist Joel Minden told Verywell Mind that checking in with yourself is the first step in addressing social anxiety and awkwardness, saying, accept your feelings of discomfort and then redirect your attention and behaviour to the other person. Socially effective people show interest in others and their interactions. The psychologist further detailed that people who experience social awkwardness likely try to get out of said interaction as quickly as possible, but rather than running away, try to sit in your feelings for a moment and then work your way through the interaction. Speaking up may not be your forte, and that's okay. Instead, try participating in the conversation as an engaged listener, as this will not only ease your worries surrounding speaking, but will maintain your presence and give those around you the opportunity to feel seen and heard. Science of People noted that engaged listening doesn't mean just standing around in a circle and giving someone else the chance to speak. Rather, it is a process of employing eye contact, using subtle cues such as head nodding and verbalizing positive reinforcements. As your group's speaker slows down or completes their thought, try engaging with them by saying phrases that convey your interest in what they have to say. By acknowledging your social interaction and letting the speaking person know you're engaged, the chances for awkward encounters diminish.
You have my undivided attention.
Okay, now, the PS4 is more angular and sleek looking.
No way!
Furthermore, the University of Rochester recommends engaged listeners to go into a conversation with an open mind and really pay attention to the details of someone's story, rather than presenting a scripted response that's clearly been rehearsed. Threads of perfectionism can be intertwined with the very real feelings associated with social awkwardness. Perfectionism is the personal tendency to set and attempt to maintain lofty goals, all while being incredibly hard and judgmental on yourself if said goals aren't met without a hitch. Being a perfectionist can be as simple as meeting work goals or as complex as needing everything in your life to be absolutely faultless. Living life as a perfectionist then can come with a lot of anxiety involving interactions, as they may not always go according to plan. Research fellow Marianne E. Etherson broke down the complications of perfectionism in a piece for Psychology Today, writing that those with social anxiety share a very common thread with that of perfectionists. Given their underlying sense of inferiority and tendency to view themselves negatively, they criticize themselves harshly when they do not meet their standards. Indeed, situations of interpersonal evaluation and the prospect of being judged by others are extremely threatening. If you're determined to quiet your inner critic, start dismantling the idea that everything in your life has to be perfect all the time. While those battling social tension and stress may worry about what everyone is thinking of them, it's likely the loudest source of judgment is coming from their own perception of themselves. Science of People noted that one of the best things a socially awkward person can do is to actively work on changing their internal and external narrative, as negatively speaking about themselves to others could be doing way more harm than they realise. For instance, if you're a socially anxious person, notice if you have a tendency to talk about yourself being shy or awkward. When you explicitly present yourself to others as an anxious or awkward person, you're likely to live up to that set standard. Amy Morin, a licensed clinical social worker, took things one step further and explained in an article for Psychology Today that the way we speak to and about ourselves can make a huge difference when it comes to our own social anxiety levels. Perhaps one of the most significant signs of social anxiety or awkwardness amid an interaction with another person is eye contact. Making and maintaining eye contact may not seem like the hardest thing to achieve for most people, but for some, it's a nightmare. According to Verywell Mind, there is actually an aspect of social anxiety disorder that specifically targets eye contact. When trying to look someone in the eye, a person with social anxiety disorder may undergo a trigger in their brain from the amygdala that tells them that they're in a dangerous situation.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me!
This can be difficult to overcome, but it is possible. Practicing will help, but given the stresses that can easily be triggered for those who are socially awkward or anxious, it's a good idea to practice in the safety of your own home. For a jumping-off point, try making eye contact with characters in a TV show or FaceTime a trusted friend. If social awkwardness or anxiety is impacting your day-to-day interactions, it's really important to remember that you're absolutely not alone. Furthermore, one of the best ways that you can avoid being socially awkward while also extending understanding and grace to yourself is to work on being empathetic. As noted by WebMD, empathy is the ability to understand and relate to another person's experience and serves as a stepping stone in extending kindness to others. Being empathetic is a human instinct, but some people are more prone to empathetic understanding than others. If you find yourself unable to relate to others, working on empathy could be a huge help. First and foremost, try exercising the feeling of being curious about other people's lives. Everyone has a story, and the more you listen, the more you can learn about someone new. When working on your empathetic nature, it's vital to identify what you have in common with someone versus what your differences are. In your quest to avoid social awkwardness, we suggest practicing your newly developed skills and coping mechanisms in low-stakes situations, as noted by Science of People. By engaging with people in a less pressured instance, you may feel more comfortable practicing these skills than you would interacting with a boss, mentor, or date. Start with trusted family members or friends, people who know, love, and support you no matter what. These people already have your best interest in mind, so they're a great place to start. As you start to feel more comfortable, try engaging with a barista or perhaps a bartender. From there, you can work your way up to interacting with anyone in a stress-free, non-awkward way. Self-care and meaningful progress toward lowering your anxiety and stress comes from practice, and it's incredibly important to intertwine your self-care habits with opportunities to decompress. The more at peace you are with yourself, the less likely you are to feel awkward or anxious in social interactions, so consider adding positive affirmations into your life. Psychologist Catherine Moore wrote for Positive Psychology that there is science behind the effectiveness of positive affirmations, asserting that it merely involves a phrase and repetition. So, for instance, if you experience social awkwardness regularly, you might want to focus on a phrase such as, "I am more than what other people may think of me," or "I am confident in my ability to communicate." Once you've settled on a phrase, simply repeat it to yourself. The constant affirming practice is the key. Positive affirmations can help in solidifying your own train of thought and confidence.
Here we go. Don't overthink it. Okay, you're a cool party guy. You're a cool party guy. You're a cool party guy.
One of the biggest cues you can take when you're in the moment may not come from what a person is saying with their words, but what they're saying with their body. Body language is a huge part of any social interaction, and it can truly speak for itself. If you find yourself constantly feeling awkward around other people, you may want to start paying more attention to someone's body positioning. Forbes noted that aspects such as someone's tone, eye contact, body posture, facial expressions, and movement can serve as a language in and of itself. While it's far subtler than what they're actually saying with words, tuning into their body movement could save you from an awkward interaction. If you're telling a story to a group of people and notice that they're starting to look around, glance down at their phones, or even wander off, this might be a sign that you should wrap it up. Being socially awkward or even socially anxious may have steered you into some pretty cringy moments with other people, but when all is said and done, being socially awkward isn't a curse. We would be remiss not to highlight how being socially aware could be a blessing in disguise. Healthline noted that people who are socially awkward likely have a tendency to be very tuned in to what's going on around them, and that isn't always a detriment. Being aware of yourself and having what Healthline calls a, quote, internal warning system could save you from some serious seriously consequential situations. A 2012 study published in Qualitative Research in Psychology found that those who are socially awkward are more likely to take action when a moment becomes dangerous, and they will most likely learn from social situations far more so than others. Furthermore, those who get awkward around other people quickly have a tendency to skip the small talk and instead opt for deeper talks. So don't think that being socially awkward automatically makes you a poor conversationalist. All you need is a little bit of practice, some tips and tricks, and positive affirmations, and you'll be well on your way.